First of all, I will let the judges introduce themselves. Here you are.
Mr. Scaletta.
Mrs. Newsback.
Mr. Shrine.
Welcome to your first writing Olympics. And what we've done this week, just so the judges know, is we have sat with each group of students, each grade level, and we have told a story. We've used conflict, resolution, and we've used a number of genres. You'll see some stories that are a little scary. You'll see some love stories. But what you're going to find out is that each one of the stories is very, very good. I'm very proud of all of you. I know the stories that I like. I always have my favorites, but my favorites never win. I don't know why. But the stories were good because we used the writing structure. And everything that we did has everything to do with your voice. We have the 6 traits of writing. And a lot of the traits, most of the traits are about mechanics. And that's what school's for. School's to teach you how to use, sentence structure and when to use punctuation. But the voice is one of those things that's unique to all of you because the voice is who you are. So what I like to do is to teach you that if you want to have an interesting voice, use conflict. Describe your character. Have your character grow somehow. Maybe your character learns something. But the most important part of telling a story, if you want other people to be interested, is that when it's over, the listener or the reader is like, oh, that's a good story. And the best way to do that is to touch their heart. Emotion, for me anyway, is the foundation for the best stories. I didn't tell you that at the beginning of the week because I didn't want you to get over emotional. I wanted to see if it would come out. And in some of the stories, when the judges make their final decision, they can alter the scores if they want, okay? It's called perspective. Now that the judges have heard all the stories, they have their scores to go by, but they're going to apply perspective and pick the top 3. Now listen, before they pick the top 3 stories, let me tell you something. All the stories, even the 1st graders, I'm proud of you, 6th graders, the bomb, all the stories were really, really good. You used your imagination. We used conflict, we used resolution. Some of the stories hit great heart. I'm proud of the top 3 teams, but I'm proud of every single one of you. You have told a story just like the real authors do. You put out ideas, the ideas were pushed back to you, then you came back with better ideas. This is how we do it. We can't get our feelings hurt. Oh, you didn't use my idea. You went back to the drawing board again and again and again, and you came up with some really fun stories. The stories will stay here at the school along with the illustrations, and the illustrations are our 3rd place winner for the bronze medal goes to the team that wrote Steve. Our 2nd place winning team for the silver medal, the team that wrote the story, Albert. The gold medal, top team, the best story for this Olympics, even though they were all silver, I loved it, was the team that wrote the story called Bob. Story together using each other's thoughts, that's really hard to do, okay? Because everyone has different thoughts, and sometimes the stories turn out kind of whacked out. Now, some of the stories actually will be very good. Some of the stories will be like a train going down the tracks and will fall off. That's part of the fun. If your teacher was to give you this paper and have you write your own story, you'd find out it's very simple now that you know the steps. But I just love to read the stories. Even though we talked about Peppy, we went through the same structure. Why were the stories so very different? Why were they so very different? Yeah. Different genres and, yeah, different people. So when you walk in a library, you see all these different books. Every single one is a different adventure. I find that very, very cool. But when you get older, you're going to go into like high school, college. They're going to ask you to do creative writing. Just take a character, describe the character somehow, add conflict, fix the conflict in a way the reader does not expect. That makes for the very best stories. And you have a great story. Now, when we talk about character development, it's not just describing the character. If the character can learn something from the story, that makes for the very best. Okay. All right, we have time for questions. You can ask me anything.
Where do you get your ideas from?
Where do I get my ideas from? Everywhere. I get them from kids. I get them from things I see on TV. In fact, most of my ideas, I dream. I dream a lot. I've always dreamt a lot. If you eat a banana before you go to bed, you will dream. Because bananas are hard to digest. Timmy's kind of working overtime and crazy things. Yes. My favorite genre, fantasy fiction. Because, well, to write. Now, see, different authors write different ways. Some authors like to write biographies, and they're very good at it. I couldn't. That's just not my thing. I love to make stuff up. I've been making stuff up since I was little. I used to get in trouble for that. Now I get paid for that. I think that's just the coolest thing.
Other than yourself, do you have a favorite author?
I do. Frank L. Baum, who wrote The Wizard of Oz. I grew up reading C.S. Lewis, but Frank L. Baum, I love the way he wrote, and I can relate to a lot of what he did. Dude. Yes, I like that question. I know some authors. I go to author conferences, and guess what? Authors are just regular people. There's nothing special about authors. I know kids like to put us up on a pedestal. Don't put me on a pedestal. I'm kind of fat. If I fall, it's going to be bad. And I might fall on a tater tot, and we don't want that to happen. No. Authors are just like other people. There are some good ones, some really nice authors, and there's some authors that aren't very nice. They're just regular people. Like, my favorite book that I wrote or that I've read? I like the C.S. Lewis books, the Chronicles of Narnia. I like those because they have the hidden meanings. Kids, thank you very much. I love meeting you.